world where achievements and accolades motivate us to do more and be more, we're often left wondering, is this really it?
Deep inside, you know there is more to life. You're ready to leave behind the old, push your way through, and claim the deeper life that's calling you.
That's where we excel.
We're your hosts, Stephanie Allen
and Maren Oslak.
And this is the Soulful Leader Podcast.
Sit back and relax as we share the shortcuts we've uncovered to help you make shift happen.
Hi, welcome to the Soulful Leader Podcast. I'm Stephanie and I'm here with Maren. And first and foremost, I just want to say happy holidays, happy Holy Week. We are airing this during a time when many of you are celebrating, hopefully, with love and presence. And we're talking about the inward type, not just the outer, but the outer is also wonderful too. And we have a special podcast today because we wanted to talk a little bit about the unfolding of this past year and moving into a new year and doing it with presence, with love, with kindness, and what that means for each and every one of us. Not just, when we really look within ourselves to unfold it, we are offering the gift to all those around us and those seen and unseen. So welcome.
I'm very excited about this week. Our podcast number 78, where we talked to Margot Corey. And at the end of the podcast, we asked her, what is it that helps to keep her grounded in her intentionality? And she does a ritual with cacao. And I've been thinking about that a lot lately, and rituals and how much they can help us with intention. And in this Holy Week, I think that's what's most up for me is the rituals of all the different traditions, and not just one, not just, the Christian tradition of Christmas, which is then leading to the Epiphany, but then there's Hanukkah, which is a process. It's not a one-day thing. And so we're talking about rituals and processes and going inward to create something different in the outer world.
Well, I love what you're saying too, Maren, like the whole traditions and the rituals. And sometimes we can just be unconscious and get very much caught up in the outer world and, buy and shop and prepare and feed. And we make it about the success in the outer. And, this is what Soulful Leader is all about, is like, how do we move more beautifully inward to have that rich, deep life that then serves the outer from a different place?
Yeah.
And, we're coming up, this is, my background is Christianity. So I just love the 12 days of Christmas. And growing up, Maren and I were talking earlier, I said, I have a lot of European in my background too. So we talk about Little Christmas, which happens in the first part of December. And then Christmas Eve, which is part of one of the 12 days of Christmas, is we set an intention. And then for the next 12 days from the 25th to the 6th, was actually the pilgrimage of the three wise men, of the three kings that were traveling to bring the three gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And we can look at that in the outer world and go, okay, that's an outer thing of gifts and presents and trees and lights. But there's a whole inner world that we're doing. And I have been famously known to be someone who is very much about tradition. And as a little girl, I remember going to church as a little girl and got very annoyed with church because I remember asking, the ministers at that time, questions. And I think they were probably very annoyed, probably delighted that a child was asking, but annoyed that I just kept asking deeper and deeper questions and they couldn't answer it. And as a little girl, I got very, very frustrated going, wait a minute, I'm going to church and this minister or these sacred beings are not even able to answer my question. Why am I here? And I got very frustrated, but it has been that question that has helped me evolve of that. And it reminds me, like the questions I was asking is there's that story of, the young girl is going to the holidays, to her family, and they're having a turkey and a roast, and actually it wasn't a turkey, it was a roast, and the ends are cut off the roast, and this young person says, why are we cutting the ends off the roast? Like, why do we do that? And the mother says, well, I don't know. We've always done it that way. That's the key, right?
Mm.
Go ask your grandmother. And so she goes in the other room and she asks her grandmother, why do we cut the ends off the roast? And the grandmother says, I have no idea. It was always done that way. Go ask your great grandmother. She's in the other room. Why don't you go ask her? And so this young person goes and asks the great grandmother. The great grandmother says to the reply of the question, I have no idea why they cut the ends off those roasts. She said, we always had a small pan. We could never fit the whole roast in the pan. So we had to cut the ends off to squish the roast in the pan. And she said, but your grandmother and your mother have always cut them off. And I don't know why they do that. It's the best part of the roast. And I say that because it's funny in the way of, why do we do these traditions? Why do we put up
Right.
a tree? Why do we have lights out? Why do we wrap up presents and give them? And why do we have these big celebrations? Like, here's my 7-year-old self going, why? And that's a part of all of us. I love the inquisitiveness of the heart, of the childlike wonder. Like I was going to church asking all those why questions. And somewhere down the road, we stop asking why. And I'm going to encourage you all to ask, why are you doing something? Is there a deeper, richer, more fuller meaning to why you're doing something? Or is it just habitual instead of traditional?
I I almost want you to repeat that whole thing because I think it's so important. I know for myself as a child, I did not understand what why we did the traditions. And you and I had a conversation before we got on, and I was raised Catholic. I oftentimes call myself recovering Catholic. I didn't pay much attention though, because I was not enthralled with the Catholic religion. And I wanted something deeper than what they were telling me. And so I just tended to not be present, which now I can look at the myths and the stories behind all the religions and see the richness of it and be present to it and be more present to the quest that was happening. I didn't even realize that between Christmas Eve and January 6th, that was the journey of the three wise men. And I know you Catholics out there are probably horrified with me, and that's okay. Because I I learned that just now in a moment when I could appreciate it, when it would
Mm,
mean something to me. And I think often the traditions like cutting, I've been the person just cutting the ends off the roast, not knowing why.
yeah.
And I'm finally at an age and or an internal ability to have space to understand why and to ask the questions. So I've been watching this series on HBO Max called The Nevers, and the last episode, episode 6 of season 1, which right now is the last episode. Hopefully they're coming out with more because I'm very much enjoying it. There's a woman on there that says that she wasn't changed from what happened to her. What happened to her got her starting to quest, and that there's nothing that will break open the world faster, the heart of the world faster than a question.
Mm.
And it was such a powerful line. I just kept rewinding it and watching it. I was like, oh, because I could feel it in my body. And that's what we're talking about is this is our opportunity in this quiet time of the year. We've got solstice coming up, which is the shortest daylight day, the longest day of the year, the most inward.
Longest night of the year.
Right. Longest night. Did I say that
Shortest
wrong?
night. Yeah.
Shortest day, longest night of the
There you
year.
go.
And it's an opportunity for us to really quest around what did our last year offer us? What do we want to take forward? What do we want to leave behind?
Yeah. What
And
do we
what,
want to say no to? Like, what did
yeah,
you learn in the past year that you go, I am no longer willing to put my time, my energy, my money, my attention into something like that anymore? Which is a really, I always say, it's good to know what you don't want because it's a doorway to knowing what you do want.
yeah,
So don't, if you go, I have no idea what I want, I don't know where I'm going, that's okay. In fact, that actually is really good to be in the unknown because then you're open to receive the incoming wave from your future. So, if you're really clear about what you don't want, I would say make a list of that right now. Write down, make a list of what you do not want to give your time, your energy, your attention, your money, your efforts, whatever it is, into anymore, and why you don't want to do that. Like, what was it that made you realize you don't want that anymore? These are really key things of looking back so that you can open the space to be able to presence. This is again, Merry Christmas, right? Here's your presents. And it's not an ENTS, it's the ENCE. Happy unfolding and unwrapping your gifts and strengths, because all difficulties, all challenges, all hurts, all dis-eases are opening us up to our presence, our gifts. So yeah.
I would add to that that you could do one of two things with that list. In a ritual setting, burn it and let go of those things and say, I commit to letting go. The other thing you could do is to sit with those and presence them and say, if I wasn't doing those things, what would I be doing? What would I have space for? What would it look like? And not that I need to have an answer. Just start the quest. And, when we think about the quest of the three kings, Jesus was born and they weren't like, oh, instantly there. They had to pilgrimage in order to get there. It took 12 days. And so we're in our today's culture of instant gratification, where
Mm,
we think that, oh, I want to start a business today and it should be open by tomorrow. Um, you know, everything we want to change, it should be done now. Um, Give yourself space for the quest of, I want to let go of these things and I want to get to, maybe you do know where you want to get to, and maybe you don't know, and both of them are fine. It's just making the space for the listening, for the presence.
absolutely. Absolutely. And it's like, so, it's an interesting myth of, the three kings, we three kings, right? The king, archetypically, if you're looking at that, is actually the king and the queen. So there's the aristocracy of your soul, because the male and the female are within all of us. So when we're looking archetypically at the king knows your life mission and is meant to walk it, to live it. The queen is the feminine, which gives guidance and empowerment and its sovereignty to the king. So if the king doesn't really listen to the inner feminine, which is the inner guidance and going within, and it's also the darkness, that's the feminine. If we look at it as yin yang, yang is fire rising. It's what gets you out of bed in the morning. And yin is what allows you to go inward and have a good night's sleep and rest and digest. So we could look at it as yin yang, at the same thing as feminine, masculine. And on the 21st is the height of the feminine, by the way.
Mm.
That is the absolute height of the feminine, which means listen, go inside, get the guidance, because she is at her fullest. And
Mm.
then we look at the 12 days of Christmas starting on the 25th. That is the pilgrimage of the king, of the moving it now out. What the king got sovereignty from the queen from within. Now the king is able to take step by step in a pilgrimage, in a sacred practice, in going out into the world again. And so the three kings brought three gifts. They brought gold, frankincense, and myrrh, which is interesting because we can think of gold as the alchemy. It's not the outer gold, it's not the material values, which I think we've gotten caught up into, but inside each and every one of us is gold. It's gold
Absolutely.
waiting to be mined, right? And
Right.
so that's the alchemy of, like, one needs to turn the base metals into gold. That's all the shoulda, coulda, woulda, ought tos, the shame, the blame, the, oh, I'm not good enough, the shadows that we need to go in with love and turn them into gold. Like, how are they gifts? And the frankincense is actually the worship or the actual practice. Isn't that interesting? The frankincense is the practice of
Mm,
going in and working with it and turning it into gold and turning it into gold. And the myrrh represents death and mourning. So allowing the what we want to say no to, letting it go and allowing that grief, because that identity of who we used to be, we have to let go of the identity of who we used to be so we can become who we're meant to become. I used to have a saying, and it's a quote, and I don't know who said the quote, but it's like, you can't steal second base with your foot on first. You have to let
right.
go. You have to let go.
This is powerful. And this time of year is the time for that. And one of the things, and if you've been listening to our podcast, you've been invited already, and we would still love for you to join us if this is the first time you're hearing it. We do have a practice that we do over the 12 days of Christmas from the 24th, which is the setting of the intention, all the way through to the Epiphany. And it's a free thing. We invite you to join us. Stephanie and I have both been doing it personally for many years. And each year that I do it, it becomes richer in both meaning and understanding and what it's developing for me in my life. It's this past year was amazing, and one of the reasons I think that it was so powerful is because I did it in a group setting for the first time this year. Stephanie's done it in a group setting with a few people for many years now, and I got to join in with that.
Mhm.
And it is so sacred. It is it you know what? It gives me permission. Doing it in a group setting gave me permission of like, ooh, I now have permission to make time for this every day.
And there's a saying, it's like, who are you when no one's looking? It's like when we do it in a group, when we do something in a group, there's someone looking, which means
Yeah.
I guess I better show up. I guess, oh, someone's going to keep me accountable. Oh, they're going to ask me a question. I better be prepared. And that's such a great thing, really. It's
And
like,
it's training because for me, doing it in the group,
yeah,
many of the years that I did it by myself, I would only do 4 days. I would only do 3 days. I would only do 7 days. I wouldn't do all of it. And I still got so much out of it. I'm not saying that you have to do all 12 days to get something out of it. You don't. For many years, I didn't. And I know I heard that from some of the people that we did it with last year of like, oh, I shouldn't do that again because I didn't follow through and it's not worth it and da da da. It is worth it. Keep coming back. Rumi says, come, come again. Come, come again. And I invite you to come, come again to your own souls, to what's being called in your future. Your future is calling you. And this is an opportunity to be your own inner king and make that journey, that pilgrimage to you. And even if you don't join us, please create a practice for yourself over those 12 days. It's really rich timing.
so I think, we're bringing all of this up because so often this time of year, Maren, people are setting goals. They're like, okay,
Mm,
what's my goal for the New Year's? What are my New Year's resolutions? What are my goals that I'm going to be doing? And what we're suggesting, and also what really the Soulful Leader, podcast and project are all about, are flipping those things to the inner, of saying, what if it wasn't about the outer at all? What if we could open and create capacity, create space within ourselves to really honor the queen within so that the king knows its direction? So it doesn't have to work so hard. We don't have to
mm,
push and pull and fight and we make this incredible inner journey. And that's what it is, an inner journey to then evolve and to allow our outer world to actually not only support us, but lift us. And that's why we're calling it the great uplift too. So for all of you that are thinking, oh, is this just another New Year's, resolution sort of thing that, no, it's not. It is completely different and it's an evolving thing. And it's such a rich and very, forgotten way. I mean, I say forgotten because historically in the mysticism, and a mystic, by the way, are those who are willing to be in the mystery, to be in the great unknown, which you can see in most days and around your surroundings. Many people are not comfortable with being of the unknown. So there's not so many mystics anymore. And yet the mystics were the ones who were bringing the traditions and the rituals and the beautiful things so that it would help prepare you for what was coming so that we could be lifted up and evolve. So this is not goal setting. It is not that. What it is creating the space to receive the presents, to receive the gifts that your soul wants to leave you this year.
Mm.
And to be present to what's coming.
I've also, for me, found that it's a conversation. I've started a conversation with life, and it takes it into such a deep, rich place that I will have an intention, and it may correlate to an outer goal that I have, and I will be in conversation with spirit around that because, and we've mentioned this before, life wants more for us than we can ever imagine.
That's right. That's right.
And we're not taught that. We're taught that life is our adversary to
Well,
conquer.
we get attached to goals, and goals are the outer. So think of, in the minute we try to like make it all about the goals and, oh, I'm not achieving my goal, or I didn't keep my word on saying, making that goal happen. That's the outer. What we're shifting is saying, what's the intention? Because intention, it's inside you. The outer goals are going to show up to support that intention, but they can also change and evolve and move. And, things can lead you in a completely different way or an area of your life, but it's totally setting you up to get that intention. It's not going to show up the way you think it's going to show up.
Right. And that's the conversation. Because when I do, I still set some outer goals, and I'm in conversation around life with life around them so that when the goal shifts, I'm aware of it and I don't hold on to it so tightly. When I hold on to that goal and I feel like I'm not achieving it, I'm not good enough, I'm not doing the things, etc. Now I'm in an adversarial position with life. And like I said, we are very much taught that it's you against life, it's you against, it's flipping that entire paradigm in its head and saying, what if it's not? What if life is always supporting me, always, and always wants more for me, and is always, that everything that I need will always be there? It's like, what if I was in that conversation with life? Now I can look at my goals come really differently and show up from a place of, I will work towards it as long as that's what is right action for me. And how do I know what right action is? Because I'm in conversation with life. And that's what these 12 days have really fostered in me, is learning how to be in that conversation. When to say no, when to step out of something, when to step into something. All of those, I don't know. And then we just push through. Well,
Yeah,
here's
because
a,
we tend to get so caught up on, oh, I said I was going to do this, and here's my goal, and I didn't reach it. And we've missed the conversation.
yeah. And then
We've
we
missed,
beat ourselves
and
up,
we beat ourselves up.
and then we keep
Yeah.
pushing through.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to use my willpower to make this happen.
Mm.
And I'm tired, I'm exhausted. And we haven't asked a deeper question of like, well, why is this goal so important? So let me give you an example. We talk about, a lot of times I think of the two biggest ones, quitting smoking or quitting a habit, or losing weight. Most people are kind of, at least people I hang around with, are kind of in that area. And to ask another question, well, why? Why is that important for you to lose weight? And by the way, I don't like to lose weight. I like to shed it. Because I don't ever want to find it again. So when I look
Or
at that,
lighten up.
or like, yeah, and that's exactly what I was going to say. It's like when I ask somebody, say, well, why do you want to lose weight? They're like, well, I want to have a greater health. I want to have energy to be able to play with my grandchildren. Or I want to live a long and fulfilling life. I want to reach my best. I want to have life energy so that I can be resilient. I'm like, well, these are different things than losing weight, isn't it? It's like that. Instead of making losing weight the main intention, what if you said, I want to have life energy to
Mm.
live my best self? Well, now that opens up to a whole dialogue and conversation rather than just one path.
Plus, it gives me the energy to stay with what I wanted, because
That's right.
that's why New Year's resolutions don't last. And oftentimes where we get stuck in our goals is because we haven't asked the deeper question. We're not on the deeper quest.
Yeah, you got to put, roots under that tree. If that tree is going to last through a hurricane, it's got to have strong root foundation.
And a hurricane will come along.
And hurricanes do come along often. Yes, they do.
So, yeah, I think if I could gift, here's an interesting thing, because we actually are gifting this. If I could gift you as our audience members anything this year, it would be for you to live your passion and really, really step into it. And so this 12 days, which is a giveaway, it's our great uplift. It's an opportunity for you to step into that and or step further into that. Because I know for myself and for Stephanie, we are doing that. And there's another layer, and there's another layer, and there's another layer. And having the support of a group of people that are all peeling the onion
Mhm.
and doing so from a place of willingness and exploration and being in the unknown, I can't think of anything better. So I know I'm really looking forward to this.
And if I could offer you all a gift, I my gift would be that you would remember your why.
Mm.
Why you're here, why now, and why you, whatever the why is in your life, why you're in this job or this relationship, or why you're with yourself, with another, why, to go deeper. That was my question as a little girl. And I am still asking those questions. And I don't think we're ever supposed to stop asking those questions. I know that. We're meant to keep asking that to get a deeper and deeper level because we are evolving. And why not do something of asking that why and do it for fun and celebration and with a group of people who are on that, like your people, right? Like your pilgrimage. You've got these fellow travelers that are with you that are asking those questions too. Swim in that pond with those fish.
I
You're
love
gonna,
that.
it's so much, you'll get the current going all together. It's not just you trying to fight against the resistance of the current. It's like you've got a whole school of fish that are going with you,
A tribe.
a whole tribe.
So enjoy, please, your Holy Week, whatever tradition you come from, whether it's nature and you're celebrating the solstice, or if it's one of the religions, whatever it is, please enjoy it and make some time for you in that space going forward into our new year. If you would like to join us for the 12 days of Christmas, the Great Uplift, you can find information on the front page of our website, thesoulfulleader.com, or in our Facebook groups, both of them, Facebook or LinkedIn group, I should say, both of them with the same name, the Soulful Leaders. So you can find out more information there. And we are starting it actually tomorrow on the solstice, which is the 21st of December. And if you can't make our solstice call, that's okay. You can still visit the website and sign up for it up until, I believe, the 24th. And if you've missed it for this year, if you're listening to this later, no worries. Connect with us anyway, and we'll let you know what we have available, because it's all about shifting from that outer to the inner so that we can bring our leadership to that whole soul level, the next level up.
And happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
And that wraps up another episode of the Soulful Leader podcast with your hosts, Stephanie Allen
and Maren Oslack. Thank you for listening. If you'd like to dive deeper, head over to our website at thesoulfulleaderpodcast.com.
Until next time.